ready, I'm willing, and now I'm able, cause I hooked up 27 miles of cable. It's time for me to get on my soapbox, gonna kick it. Greetings, believers and non-believers. This is Ape, and I'm here to answer your questions. Alright, first off, we've got a video response from a guy named Weasel. And dude, if you wanted to make it hard to know what your name was, you did a good job. It's got like 4 E's in it or something, I don't know. But let's see what he says.
Were you raised as an atheist, or were you raised with religious beliefs and then later on became an atheist?
I wasn't exactly raised as an atheist. I guess you have what you call a casual Christian. And I was probably, like, my family was about as casual as it got. Like, I think, well, first off, my parents got divorced when I was about 12 and then split up. So, you know, everything got a little bit different then. But before that, you know, like we had a Bible in the house, but we never fucking talked about it. We had a cross up in the kitchen, but never fucking said anything about it, you know. Every now and then, like on an Easter or something, you know, we'd go to church, but like, it was not a part of our everyday lives at all. After my parents got divorced, stuff got a little bit weird, you know, because, you know, they had a pretty... I don't have anything to really compare it to, but I like to think I see it as a relatively nasty custody battle. One of the things that my parents fucked up with a lot, and those of you that are watching out here that are parents, Ted forbid that you have to get a divorce, but if there's anything that you don't want to do is badmouth have one parent talking shit about the other parent, basically, because that's kind of what happened a lot, and that was really awkward when I was a kid. When we basically we lived with my dad most of the time, but when we were with Dad, he'd say bad things about Mom, and I can understand where he's coming from, but as a kid that's trying to look up to both parents equally, or as much as you can, that's very uncomfortable at the least. And of course, so when we're around Dad's talking shit about Mom, and when we're around Mom's talking shit about Dad. So don't do that. If there's anything you're not gonna do, don't do that. Anyway, back to after they got divorced, there was a custody battle. I hate to call it that, but it was I guess a better way to say it is the divorce proceedings took a long time. I'm not really sure, but I want to say it was at least a couple of years before everything was finalized. And but during that process, there were kind of separate periods where our parents would take us to church, and in my dad's case, I really think it probably was just purely for custody's sake, and that's who we ended up living with, and I love my dad to pieces. He's done a wonderful job, and I thank the Flying Spaghetti Monster that's how it all worked out. But my mom actually took it seriously, and that's was probably the most direct experience I had. It was relatively brief. I want to say maybe from the ages of 12, 13-ish to 14. Well, maybe even 16, 17. I kind of remember basically when I started working. Basically, was when I first turned 16. When I first turned 16 was when I started working. I went out and got a job right away. And right about then was kind of the time when I started seeing her a lot less, and that influence became less. She got into the Pentecostal thing and went, bounced around from a couple different churches. But it was like whenever we went over on the weekends to go spend our time with Mom, we'd have to go to church. And she was one of those. Or is I don't know. I'm not really in contact with her. I haven't spoken to her in a long time. It's kind of weird. We just kind of drifted. But it's so when I say I think I assume she's alive and everything. But I'm not in contact with her. And it's kind of weird. I feel like that should bother me, but it doesn't. And the fact that it doesn't bother me bothers me a little bit, but not much. Like, I really don't know how I feel about that whole thing. Like, a lot of people have tried to psychoanalyze me, and I don't know. I'm chilling. But, so, yeah, with my mom, she was really, really, really into the whole Revelation, apocalypse, and, oh, we're only going to be on this earth for such amount of time, and eternity and hellfire, and you got to get saved. And, we'd be at the Pentecostal church with the freaking people running laps around the place, and, like Pentecostals are freaking nuts. I don't care what anyone says. By nuts, like they like, what I want to say is they have the most energy. Like, they're just, blah, like they get into it more than anyone I've seen. So yeah, not really ever a part of my life, and so yeah, like I guess I can't remember the exact passage in the Bible, but it's like, Jesus talks about throwing the seeds out. Like I was probably one of those little patches of ground that only got a couple seeds tossed at it, and they didn't take root because they weren't watered or anything. Like, it was really weird. It was like probably as much. I had almost as little religion in my upbringing as possible up until the divorce. As there was as little religion in my life as possible, while still probably being able to go, oh yeah, we're Christian, because yeah, we have a cross and a Bible and a picture of Jesus and stuff. But so yeah, really, really, really freaking mellow stuff. So yeah, I think that answers that question, and man, at this rate, this is going to take forever, so let me go ahead and move on here.
Hey Rabbit Ape, Blue Adept here. My question for you is about your videos. Given that you have a goal and a perceived function for yourself, are you an objective player in the arena? In other words, if evidence or proof came to light that God existed, would that change your stance, or would you continue to work towards your goal? So my real question is, are you objective, is my question.
Okay, if you're asking me if there were proof that God existed, would I believe in God? Or this question has been asked many times. And of course I would say yes. If frickin' Jesus came down out of the clouds, shook my hand, did some magic, I'd probably convert on the spot. But that's pretty much the order of magnitude of evidence that you're talking about here.
I know that you're a man of science, and I know you're rational and logical, but are you objective, is my question. Or do you have an agenda?
Wow. Okay. I don't see why those have to be mutually exclusive. I like to think that I'm objective as possible. It's I would think it's impossible for any human being to be completely objective. We're all going to be shaped by our experiences, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I don't see why you have to frame it like that. Am I objective, or do I have an agenda? My objectivity is what led me to my agenda, and if my objectivity presents evidence that says my agenda is invalid, then I would probably abandon it. However, I do not foresee that happening anytime soon. So let's go ahead.
The next question that's really kind of a setup.
Yeah.
The first question is just an evil setup for my next question. Of course you're objective. My next question is, why are you not a theist? Or at the very least, an agnostic? And I don't know how to ask this question without mentioning one of my own videos, even though I don't want to come off like I'm shilling or trying to show my own material on your page. But
it's cool, dude. I understand.
One of the videos I recently made was called Proof of God. But so my question to you, Mr. Ape, is would you, if this content convinced you, would you actually switch your stance from atheism to either theism or agnosticism if you felt that one of the premises of the proof, although not currently?
Okay, as far as I can tell there, you asked the same question again. Basically, the first time you said...
In other words, if evidence or proof came to light that God existed, would that change your stance?
And then you asked me...
If this content convinced you, would you actually switch your stance from atheism to... If this content convinced you, would you actually switch your stance? If this content convinced you, would you switch your stance? If this content convinced you, would you switch your stance? If this content convinced you, would you switch your stance?
Okay, and up next we have Draven Bane, 1981. One of my favorites.
4 questions. Question number 1. What was the first booze you ever tasted?
I probably had the odds, I'm pretty sure I had the odd sip of beer, but, literally just a sip here and there, kind of as oh yeah, here, have a sip of beer. Ooh, Nicky, But the first time I got intoxicated to any appreciable degree, I believe it was on Thunderbird wine. It was this apple wine stuff. I think I was playing, I want to say I was about 14, and I was playing Mortal Kombat with my best friend, and it was fucking awesome. It was just really silly, so yeah. And that was, and actually, the funny thing is actually too, I drink a whole lot now. I barely drank at all until I turned 21, and it was really weird. I just kind of, literally the day I turned 21, I went to the store and I bought some beer just because I could, and I went home and I drank it, and it was pretty cool. And then I did it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and so that's how that goes.
First booze you ever had? Number 2, were you, at any point in your life, ever a smoker?
Hold on just a second. I do enjoy the occasional bowl of tobacco, and I also, from time to time, enjoy my tobacco in a cylindrical form. However, this particular kind of tobacco, I am basically trying to quit. I go through freaking cycles. Right now, I probably have one every other day or so, or less. Maybe 2 in one day sometimes. I'm one of those people that, right now, I don't buy cigarettes. I just bum the occasional one from a friend. I know enough people that smoke that, I like to think I'm not taking enough from one person at any time to really make a difference. So, I pretty much don't smoke in my videos. I'm trying to quit. I enjoy the fuck out of these, but I want to make sure, I want to do everything I can within reason to maximize my chance of surviving to the singularity, because I want to preserve my brain. So I'm working on quitting these, but man, that flesh, it pulls at you. So let's move on.
Number 3, when was the point you exactly thought religion has no purpose, no grounding in facts, and is completely irrelevant? What was the point it finally dawned on you? For me, it dawned on me when I was 14.
It's kind of hard to pinpoint it exactly, having not grown up in a strongly religious family, at least from the beginning. But I got off to a running start towards my, militant skepticism. Probably the first time someone told me I was going to go to hell if I didn't, do this or that or, whatever. I said this in an earlier video, my response to the God fight, which it seems like a cool thing. I'm kind of surprised there weren't more responses at.
Number 4, biggest one of all. What's your take on the whole Pascal's wager? If I find, if there is no God, then I lose nothing. If there is a God, then I've gained everything, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so Pascal's wager, I think that's a load of crap. It's a, what do they call it, a false dichotomy. It assumes that if there is a God, it's a Christian God, and it's got these rules and precepts, etc., etc., and we don't have any reason to believe that more than any of the other gods with their different scenarios. And if, so if you're saying, I'm going to believe in this God, just so that I can avoid his wrath, well, how do you know, it's the right God with all the other ones, etc., etc.? Probable, if not more probable, that, any being that really did know everything, it would have to know our experiences, and it would have to, I would hope, value our skepticism, our application of logic, and a robust interpretation of the facts and data available to us. Like Galileo said, I'm just going to post it because I can't remember right now. So that's it for the video responses. I'm just going to start reading down the comments now. And what's the subject? Ask me questions, I'll answer them, like I said. I'm an atheist, but I would like to ask your opinion on something. How do you explain the lack of transitional forms? Do you believe that punctuated equilibrium can explain the lack of these transitional forms? There are transitional forms. The fossil record is not complete. It should not be complete. Fossils are rare. Most animals, like most living things, do not leave fossils. 99.9999999999999% of animals do not leave fossils. It doesn't happen that often. We're not going to see all of them. There are transitional forms. Wake the fuck up. Did you go to college? What were your subjects? What do you do now? Okay, one at a time. Did I go to college? Yes, I went to community college, actually, and I give a little background on that. I actually did an enlistment in the Army, as short as possible. I got in, I got out. I was a tank mechanic. I went to college. I went to community college afterwards, thinking I wanted to be an actor and then maybe a teacher. So I was going to community college, taking, just the basic stuff. And then I got into audio recording just kind of for fun and ended up getting a degree in that. What do I do now? It's kind of weird. The business that I'm in, I can't really say what I do without it being really easy for someone to figure out where I am in the world, and I really don't want that right now. I'll tell everyone right now, I live in Texas. That's about as specific as I want to be. My blasphemy is just getting started, motherfuckers. So, there's some crazy people out there that I'm kind of scared of. So I don't want to talk about... what do I do? Without giving away the main thing, I can say that I'm a manager of a small business. I do a lot of the hiring and firing when necessary, and I do the payroll and I look over the accounting. I do a lot of the stuff so that the owner doesn't have to, and kind of take some of the load off of him. And, I also, without giving it away, like I work as a part of the business, I guess, just as a, I'm down and in it, but I'm also behind the scenes, making sure the numbers are okay. I just delegated making the schedule to someone else, but I was doing that for a couple of years. But how many jelly beans will fit in a standard 5-gallon paint bucket? That's going to be approximately 7,382 and a half, depending on what kind of lid you're using on the bucket. Having China declared 100% atheist in 2002. How long do you think it will take to eliminate religion in the U.S.? I really doubt it's going to happen anytime soon. There's probably, as long as there are human beings as we know them, with our imperfect perceptions and our fucking meat computers that we got up here with all their quirks, and as amazing as they are, they're not perfect, and that they're subject to whatever. And also, I'm not here to put an end to religion, in as much as, I think a lot of people don't understand this, but speaking for myself, probably a lot of other people out here, but I'm not going to say any names because, I don't speak for anyone else, but I doubt I'm the only one that feels this way. I think the world would be better without religion, and yes, I would like to see, if I could push the magic button and make religion disappear tomorrow, I probably would. However, I do not think ever, there should be, what do you call it, like legislated, you shouldn't outlaw religion, you shouldn't force people not to believe certain things. However, I don't believe that those beliefs should be shielded to questioning any more than anything else, and yeah, so that's that. Do you rock out with your cock out? If no one's at home, I might, depending on, if I probably have, so I'll say yes. How do you feel about the ROFL acronym? Necessary or unnecessary? These little emoticons and acronyms, I use them. Anyone that watches my comments will see, I put smileys in and stuff like that. I kind of believe in, their functionality, now that I'm talking to you, you can see my face, hear the tone of my voice, etc. Comments don't do that. I like to use those things just because they kind of, get points across. I literally, I don't say LOL unless I laugh out loud. That's what I heard that meant. So, laugh out loud. If I'm watching the video and I laugh, like, ha 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 ha, if my mouth opens and I'm making a sound, if I laugh out loud, I will write LOL in a comment. As far as the ROFL, I'll use that from time to time if I think something's really, really funny. I'm not literally rolling on the floor, no, but it's, it's an extension of the LOL, so, I'm not inherently opposed to them. I can see how they can get annoying. If, no one's told me I use them too much yet, so that's, we'll see.